I'm looking at ASAP Rocky and Rihanna's relationship, and it's an interesting relationship to study, an interesting dynamic to study, to say the least. Cool, pretty cool dynamic too. And this is me bigging up the couple. You know, it's really not a negative, but people can interpret it how they want. But I'm looking at the dynamic, and I now understand why Rihanna chose ASAP Rocky. And I say chose because she has children with him, and women control access to that. ASAP Rocky controlled the access to decide to make her his wife. That was how he closed the loop. You know what I'm saying? So looking at the relationship, the dynamic, it's pretty cool to look at, because I'm like, I understand why she chose him, because she obviously could have chosen anybody. I believe Rihanna is the type of woman, with her status and her achievements. She could have really chosen anybody, and that's from me looking from my scope where I'm at. I'm just a peasant, of course. But yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, yo, she chose. I'm looking at ASAP, and I'm looking at the trajectory of his career, and irregardless to whatever you know, um, whatever's going on, whatever the choices he's made throughout his career, the questionable ones, the respectable ones, reputable ones, whatever. But I look at the people in the community that he comes from, and he comes from a community where he's almost like the prince of that community. You ever part of a family, or you ever that family, you might be a part of their family, it might be you, where you're the one that everybody loves and respect and cherish and baby. And like, there's a baby, no matter how old this guy or this gal is. The family, every time they're around aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, they baby this person. And if it's relatable to a woman, they treat this woman like a princess, no matter how old she is. If it's relatable to a man, i.e., ASAP Rocky, they treat him like a prince. And I believe that Rihanna's seen this, right? She's seen this, so she's like, okay, you know, she put herself in a position where she's with this guy. Like, if you know his reputation, if you know ASAP's reputation, he's kind of like this wild kid. Like, you can tell he can push it to the limit if he wants, but he's also this true, and me choosing my words wisely. He's also this kid who's super sensitive, in touch with his feminine side, obviously, but also in touch with his masculine sides. You can tell he can, if he need be, he can, get down to business. But at the same time, he's part of a community who's just who's built like that as well, and it comes with a huge community who cherish him and protects him and treats him like a prince. And being a prince, and just not to go too much off, but looking at their dynamic, it's like you're looking at this, you looking at ASAP, and it's like, yo, this he carries himself like a prince, and you can see that even Rihanna treats him like, okay, like she has a prince for a mate, for a husband. You know what I'm saying? Rihanna walks around like she knows her position. And by the way, this position is dangerous too. Like so dangerous that it controls ASAP's emotions. You feel me? Like going back to saying the time, going back to when I said that, ASAP is a he's a collection of all these different, type of people. Like, he's extremely emotional, but can be masculine at the same time. In touch with both his feminine, masculine, and you to the extreme, to the extreme, so, and Rihanna has the type of mate where the position that she plays is so powerful that she didn't just marry and had children with ASAP Rocky. She married and had children with a prince who's part of a community, i.e. protection. Feel me? Because can you imagine? Because keep in mind, he bagged Rihanna. You feel me? That's like honestly, that's like Jay-Z bagging Beyonce. Nobody's saying this, but ASAP bagging Rihanna is like Jay-Z bagging Beyonce. You feel me? And not only so a prince, ASAP, a prince. So she didn't just marry him. She married a community who's gonna cherish her probably even more than they cherish ASAP, if not equal to or greater. You feel me? So, and she knows this. She knows this. This is why at the same time I believe she made a smarter decision in picking ASAP to be the father of her children. Because she really put herself in a position where, everybody, we're from a place where everybody could be fake. But when you're part of a community where you have enough people that are ride or die, they're going to ride or die for not only you, but for your family. You feel me? So, yeah, so I'm looking at their dynamic, and you see how she walk around. She walk around like just stoic because she knows her power. That position she plays is even powerful than his. You feel me? Because they have the same, if not more, respect. And when I say they, the community that protects ASAP, the prince, has the same or more respect for the princess. Yeah, and I'm like, yo, it's a dope, and it's just quiet. Everybody has their opinion, and I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at the nonverbal, and I'm looking at Rihanna. I'm looking at ASAP. He's just having the best time of his life. The prince is just being the prince, right? The prince, he's just being the prince. Rihanna is just like, she knows he's a prince. That's why she's not even too much tripping about, I know the caption was like, oh, some chick that, some chick that ASAP was talking to, and she pulled up on him. And she did pull up on him, in a way where she's like, yeah, I'm right here. But he knows this. But I was also thinking, it also, was a reminder. Rihanna was also reminding him, like, I know you're the prince, but don't embarrass me. Remember, no outside children, no diseases, no embarrassments. So she was reminding him, like, you I know you the prince, so you're gonna be the prince. Don't let this shit be. Don't get this shit twisted, trying to create tabloids and make me look bad. That's what that was. That wasn't no who you talking to. No, that was like, remember, you know, this is royalty here. You know, disrespectful shit over here. You feel me? She's like, I'm supposed to vet the females. I'm supposed to vet the females. Don't think you could over here be trying to. I see you over here talking to other chicks. I'm the vetter. But yeah, this long video. But I was sitting there thinking to myself, and I was halfway through with my, what I just recorded. I was halfway through talking to myself out loud. And I was like, I might as well just record this because I haven't heard anybody's take on this relationship other than, ASAP's a simp and, and he's following. And it could be and Rihanna's in charge of the relationship and she's running the relationship. And it could be. But you also have to understand, the dynamic, the reasoning and, the role that Rihanna's playing, because even if that's the case, she's not outwardly, she's not doing it to where it's obnoxious, like bad bitch persona. You feel me? Like the bad girls club and the perception that the society feeds to us what a woman who runs a relationship does. A woman who really runs a relationship, regardless of what the man is doing, because a man's gonna be a man. They move like women like Beyonce does. They move like Rihanna does. But when it's time for them to leave, when they decide, this is the end of this, best believe they're gonna be leaving with everything and everything. They're gonna take everything, because they put in that time, and they let the men, when women in that position, when they're ready to leave, they let the men dig their own grave. This is why they stay so quiet. Because they know what's at stake. They're not gonna get tricked out of their position by no side piece. They're not gonna get like most rent today. You can pay off in a year for like $12,000-$15,000. On the high end, $20,000 a year. These billionaires are messing with chicks that they just paying a year's off rent from their interest, a fraction of the interest that they make a week. So you think a woman who's in a position where they're married to that, where they have access to that and they have right to that, more right than the man, is going to fumble the bag over a side chick who got her rent paid for 12 months? I'm not telling women to stay with a cheating man, but if a woman is with a billionaire, a guy who's, in place with motion, there's a way to play the game, and to each its own, however you say that, whatever, because, the day they decide to leave, they taking the bank. You feel me? The day that Beyonce decides to leave, Jay-Z will no longer be a billionaire. You know who will be a billionaire still? Beyonce. I mean, look at Dr. Dre, for example. Fortunately for Dr. Dre, he built a legacy so valuable that he makes money in his sleep. And this is why his wife was able to go for as much as she went for and win. because that was the lifestyle he was giving her. And with while we on that subject about lifestyle, providing certain lifestyle, because that's usually, what women say when they leave a marriage, a wealthy man, and they have this astronomical number that they're asking for. It's usually tied to the lifestyle. They're like, hey, this is a lifestyle I've been having for the past 15, 20 years, and I need to maintain this, and boom. This is why it's important for the man to know this. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you have to provide a specific lifestyle to protect the wealth. So let's say I make $1 million a year, but I only live on $60,000 a year. Just giving an example. $60,000 a year. You know what? I live off of $500,000 a year. Since I'm making $1 million a year, I live off of $500,000 a year. Okay. So for 20 years, $1 million a year. Obviously I'm a billionaire at this point. When it comes time for separation, wouldn't you think that since women are divorcing and saying, hey, this is what I need for the lifestyle that I was provided, well, the lifestyle I provided you was on a $500,000 a year budget. And by the time they divorced, the guy was making $10 million a year, and they were still on $500,000 a year budget. You would think they would give him something within that $500,000 budget, wouldn't you? If that's the lifestyle. So I only say that to say, wealthy men should start thinking about that. The lifestyle that's being provided versus the money that's being produced and accumulated. It shouldn't be neck and neck. Like if I make $10 million a month, the lifestyle shouldn't go more. If I make $10 million a month, not a year, a month, the lifestyle shouldn't go over $500,000 a year. It shouldn't. I think that's a kind of like a loophole, a way to manipulate the system. And when I say system, I mean when it comes to divorce and what the woman walks away with, and if the narrative is, well, I'm asking for this because of the lifestyle, oh, I need $500,000 a month, and the judge is gonna be like, why do you need $500,000 a month? Well, because that's the lifestyle I provided. Well, if you lived off of $500,000, well, you lived off of $500,000 a year, not a month. Well, I'm asking for $500,000 because he makes $10 million a month. The judge will be like, well, he makes $10 million a month, but you still lived off of $500,000 a year for 20 years. But he makes but you said you want $500,000 a month to sustain the lifestyle you had during the marriage, right? Yes. Well, your marriage was being sustained on $500,000 a year. So you don't need $500,000 a month. We're not going off of the numbers he makes a month. We're going off of what you use to live. And you guys were living off of $500,000 a year, which is pretty damn good. Not that many people do that. So yeah, I think that's kind of like a trick. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just me babbling at this point. Yeah.